Hi, welcome to my show where I get to interview amazing people who are really influential and who also I'm just lucky that I have met in my life. Today I have with me Dr. Homayoun Sadeghi, and I met him through a book program that we're both signed up to. And then I found out about a project that he was doing. It's called the Staff of Mercury. It's about health and wellness. And I loved his idea. And he did this thorough interview with me on many occasions to see if I can participate because that was the type of project it is. It's a really high quality film he is a director and producer of, and it helps you if you're struggling to find the connection between health and wellness and the power of the mind. This movie will change your life. I can't wait to show a reel that I have today of it that's about 10 minutes. But I also have Dr. Sadeghi on the line right now. He is calling in from California. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I love this project that you started. You have a research background at Yale and Harvard, a medical degree from the University of Iowa, and a postgraduate medical training at Yale. So, with your background, is how what happened that got you to think about this particular project and to put it in, to move it forward the way you have?
Ma'am, this has been a pet project of mine for quite a while, and I've been waiting for the right opportunity to be able to do it. And as you just mentioned, I was finally lucky enough to gather enough people, enough amazing people like you, to come together to be able to put something together that can teach people. The idea is to serve people, to teach people, to share our knowledge, share what we've learned. And, some of us know more than others, some of us know less than others. And it all depends on what field you're in. And in this field, I do have a lot of insights that I do want to share. And with your help and other experts that got involved, I think we put together an amazing project that people will definitely love, and that's where it all that's what it all comes to share what you know.
Well, I gotta tell you, so it was, I believe, on April 1st that I flew to Los Angeles to be a part of this wonderful film. And I don't know if you remember what I told you at that time is that the experience alone, because you said, you had such big visions for this project because you really believe that it could help so many people. And I said, you know what, Hamayoun, the, just participating in this, the energy of everybody around us, you can just feel their expertise, their different backgrounds. We had people came from different parts of the country to participate in this because they understand the power of self-care, self-healing, the how you can really use certain techniques to help heal yourself, and they want to share that with everybody.
Yes, and it wasn't just this country. It was also there were people from Canada, from Europe, from South America, all experts that went through the expenses and the time and effort on their own to come and join to put together this amazing stuff. We taped that amazing production, which was a truly Hollywood production that day, but then there were other days that we taped more, taped other experts as well. We taped in an amazing spot. We also have footage in some other spots, like we taped where they did the Jurassic Park, where they
Oh,
did
wow.
Tarzan, where they did other Hollywood movies. But
Uh-huh.
it's not necessarily where we taped. It was the quality of the experts and the quality of the information that's being shared. And I can't wait to share it.
Yes, well, again, I'm going to repeat that you do care about quality because I know that when you were interviewing me about being in this project, it was really intense. We went back and forth many times, and I actually really respected the project even more, realizing that you're not just trying to put something together for the heck of it. You really were concentrating that you would deliver the best possible message and service to people. So it shows not only in the people that you chose, but in the quality of the work that you created.
You know, the vetting process and you know, all the people that I talked to were experts, and it was not a question of whether they were experts or not. The question was whether they were a good fit for this project, whether you know, we all talked the same language. Could we actually orchestrate a massive piece of knowledge in a way that people can understand? And as you know, you know, the vetting process took months, and I wouldn't be surprised if I were to look back and see that it took almost a year. We're not talking a year to choose one person or another. We're talking a year to talk back and forth to different experts, making sure that, you know, we're on the right wavelength and we're talking about the same thing, and so on and so forth. So that process alone was amazing too.
It was, and I really learned a lot from you in this process. You're right, it took a
Likewise.
very long time. I remember that at some point, we weren't even sure if the project was going forward because there was so much time span in between, but it was, we later learned that you were talking to the different experts and trying to determine who would best be for this project, and that was the reason. And so and all of a sudden, once it became where you had a date that you were going to be shooting, you actually had, I think, 3 to 5 different days. All of a sudden there was an incredible energy that happened, and we saw it come to fruition. And when we saw the final project, actually it's not even final, but what we see so far, it
The
already
sizzle.
impressed us. Yes, it impressed us to a great deal, and we it just but those are your standards, and that's great. And I want to know, though, the Staff of Mercury, how did that start? Was that originally a book? I know that we received material about it. I remember before we were flying before I was flying to LA. So I was reading the material, and it's amazing the kind of information that you have on there. Is that part of a book? That
You know, the Staff of Mercury, this is the interesting part. The Staff of Mercury is an emblem, a sign that you see everywhere. It's ubiquitous. You see the sign on just about on every ambulance, doctors' offices, dental offices, in hospitals. It's that famous rod with two serpents intertwined around it.
mm-hmm.
For some reason, even the U.S. Army Corps uses it for their as a sign of medicine. You see it everywhere, but the funny part is that is not, in actuality, a sign of medicine. It was, I don't know if I can call it a misnomer. For some reason, it was chosen as a sign of medicine, and now everyone uses it. The actual sign of medicine is the one staff with one serpent twirling around it. So I wanted to give it a mystical picture, even though there's nothing mystical about what we're talking necessarily in that sense. But I wanted to give it a mystical sense, so I wanted to use the sign of medicine and I wanted to use an ancient sign.
Mm.
And because even though it's a misnomer, that's what everybody knows, and so that's what we use. And I'll tell you a quick story about it. The actual sign of medicine, which has only one serpent circling around or twirling around that rod, legend has it that Zeus, the ancient god, Zeus wanted his son to learn the trait of medicine and healing. So he sent his son to Centaur. And I think most of your viewers are probably familiar with Centaur, which is the body of a human or the top of the human with an animal bottom, who was well versed in the art of healing. And so he sent his son to go to Centaur to go learn the art of healing and health and medicine. And when he was there, Centaur actually gave him a staff. And the snake is the sign of the human. There are many interpretations for the snake, but that's where the sign came from. But because, that's not so familiar, everybody talks about, everybody shows the other, which is called the staff of Mercury. That's why I used it. So the idea was medicine, healing, but the emblem is just what they used, not necessarily the actual emblem.
But I found the information that you had in the material in there were in the manuscript. I mean, I assumed it was a manuscript. Is that something that you plan to publish? Because as just like the book The Secret and the video that was made was so helpful to so many people, I believe that this has that same quality, and I believe it should be put in book form as well.
It will be, for sure. Yes, everything will be published. Everything will be talked about. The Secret the movie The Secret, or the book The Secret, had a certain charismatic trait, and it became so famous because it had a message. Today, many people still love that message. Others are, have had enough and don't want to hear it because it's, after so many years. I think what you'll see and learn from this is not necessarily something fantastic, but something real, something actionable that you can use, that makes sense, that is a boon to your life.
Yes, and that's what I felt when I was reading the manuscript on it, is that even earlier when you said about the ancient symbols, and you brought in certain ways that ancient people, and you bring it a lot of it through the form of questions, so that the person reading it you let the person almost remember, and the way you bring up the question, you cause the reader or the viewer to have a question and a remembrance of how things might have been, and why ancient people were able to do certain healings that sometimes today we take for granted or we don't even look into. And that was part of, I know that when I did the interview, that was my focus, is about my ancestors who are from ancient Mesopotamia, what was called ancient Mesopotamia, now called Iraq. So my great-great-grandmother was a healer, and my aunt and my father was a bone setter. He would, if somebody injured himself, his bones or his muscles, they would come to our house, and he would perform certain ways of touching the way he touched their legs or ligaments, and put things into place, and then wrap it up, use olive oil soap. So there's so much in that. I feel like through what you're doing, you're bringing that part into to life, but you're also bringing a modern science, ancient way. You're combining everything so that we can understand it, and so because it fits into how our culture is today, because we're not living 100 years ago. We have to acknowledge our lifestyles of today.
Exactly. together we'll change the world, Wham.
Yes, someone with your kind of character and energy, yes. And with that, I am going to show this beautiful piece of work that you did, this reel, so the audience can have the viewers can have a glimpse of what you're capable of. So I'm going to play the video right now.
Perfect.
We are now told that about 1 in 6 children and adolescents aged 2 to 19 years old are obese.
About 84 million people have pre-diabetes. Of these, nearly 90% don't even know they have it.
117 million people have one or more chronic health conditions.
Okay, everyone, listen up. Today, we're going to talk about the promise of health in America. Did you know that about half of all adults in the US have at least one or more chronic health conditions? Not only that, but what's more shocking is that more than 1 in 3 adults have at least one type of cardiovascular disease. What's amazing is that heart disease and cancer together account for nearly 46% of all deaths in the US. Camera rolling.
Take one.
Why can't we manage to live a disease-free life? For long ages, we've tried, but still remain unable to find a cure for human disease and suffering. Science is rapidly advancing. From quantum science to exploration of space, we keep pioneering new frontiers. But at least for now, it seems medicine is not able to keep up with our dynamic pace.
I think our understanding of disease, and especially chronic disease, I think is rudimentary.
30% of us are walking around with herniated discs, but we're not having any pain necessarily. But then there are other people who are debilitated by that pain, and I don't have a good grasp as to what makes one person suffer and the other one
not suffer.
Unfortunately, no one could tell me why I even had a pancreatitis attack or what caused it.
Even if I look at myself as a person and not as a doctor, I feel a lot of times when I'm visiting a doctor that I'm just kind of being looked at as a physical entity, and what are my vital signs, and...
Wait a minute, you feel like you're being treated like a physical thing as opposed to a whole human being.
What is known as a drop, what is unknown is an ocean.
Yes, by almost all measures, Western medicine is the most advanced in the world, especially when it comes to emergency care. But somehow it seems to be stuck in time when it comes to chronic ailments.
I weighed 285 pounds. I was teetering on morbid obesity. I was sick all the time, depressed, downhearted.
I retired because I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
You were diagnosed with diabetes. You were on 4 shots a day insulin therapy.
I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme's disease, and it was uncomfortable. I couldn't move, I was out of shape, I had brain fog.
Stage D, prostate cancer.
They admitted me into hospice and put me on oxygen.
And his doctor had given him 6 days to live.
We've tried every trick you can imagine on planet Earth. We've tried every form of diet and exercise you can think of. Hormones, vitamins, and minerals. We've tried those too. It just seems like we're lost when it comes to finding a cure for chronic conditions. Nothing seems to work. You know, in the past century, we've turned medicine into an admirable form of art and science. But Western medicine is still in its infancy. Therefore, at this point, oftentimes it has no choice but to settle for treating aches and pains and alleviating symptoms. As popular as it may seem these days, alternative medicine is in reality a step backward, not forward. Remember your history? Alternative medicine used to be the mainstream medicine back in the Dark Ages. So why turn the clock back? Are there any other choices out there? A new tidal wave of holistic awakening is just now rippling across the world. It's the mind-body revolution.
There is a connection between your emotions, your mind, and your body.
Emotions are associated with molecules inside the human body.
What is an emotion? How my body works should have nothing to do with emotion, but nowadays everyone accepts our emotions influence our bodies.
Mind and body are one, not two. So whatever is going on in our thoughts and feelings absolutely have to show up in this thing we live in called the body.
You can't separate the mental from the physical.
Why not?
Because every emotion is a biochemical interaction in your body.
So you're saying her stomach pain may be because of her relationship?
Yeah, she couldn't stomach him.
And when we put our emotions and our intellect in control, what ends up happening is that we can get sick.
It isn't some magic berry that they eat. It isn't some magic drink that they drink. It's in their minds. It's in their purpose.
From the concept of mind-body connection, a tiny offshoot is now growing like wildfire and making new trends in schools, colleges, and hospitals. It's called mindfulness.
I believe that to be the healthiest version of ourselves, we have to learn to be mindful.
In the past 20 years, there's been a lot of studies on the effectiveness of mindfulness for health reasons. It helps reduce stress, it helps kids at school.
So are the mind-body connection and mindfulness the final frontier? If so, I'm still stuck with a fundamental question. How do I cure conditions like diabetes or heart disease at the end of the day? Perhaps it's time we realize that the true art of healing can't be memorized. You can't always succeed with cookie-cutter treatments, especially for chronic conditions like cancer.
We either give them medication or we do surgery. What about doing other activities or other alternatives to managing the pain?
It kept me medicated. Everything I did kept me medicated.
You cannot treat everyone the same.
Because it isn't just a one-size-fits-all.
There are differences in our makeup and our physiology. Everyone's different when it comes to nutrition and what will make our body well. The food that is the best for my optimal wellness might be quite different than what's best for you.
Not everyone can be healed the same. Everybody's background and stories play a role.
So where's the holy grail of cure?
We are not merely human beings with a spirit, but actually we are spiritual beings with a human body. So when you start looking at things that way, the potential is limitless.
There's an inner voice that we have, and we argue with it constantly. And that inner voice knows what is the best.
There's an innate wisdom that is put within each of us if we are only just willing to tap into that.
We are not just limited, by this body. We have this consciousness.
I would say that you are a consciousness, that not you have a consciousness. Instead of saying that we are bodies that have consciousness, we are consciousnesses that have bodies.
We are conscious, thinking human beings with complex relationships, hidden desires, and emotional feelings. Our jobs, our daily interactions, our relationships, our uncontrolled emotions, and our failures and successes have a tremendous influence on our ultimate states of health and well-being.
According to the ancient legends, the holy grail of cure is within you. It's called
Wow. That was so cool to watch it again. Homayoun?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I always get chills watching that. It's a really powerful film. I can't wait for it to come out. What is the plan? Where is this going right now? Where is it at?
Well, the movie is almost done. So the process of having it ready for public viewing will take a few months. So the proposed date is sometime in fall, and obviously, there is a Facebook page for this thing, for this movie, where people can go to and get updates, sign up for updates, or just keep viewing to be able to just make sure they're on top of it so that they can view it when it comes online.
It's the Staff of Mercury, correct?
Yeah, facebook.com/Staff of Mercury.
Yeah, this is really an important and really a needed documentary. So many people, including my mom, as I had mentioned to you, she's been living with me for 4 years, and I learned so much about how not only are you able to heal yourself, but then you can transfer that kind of energy to others as well if you treat them on an individual basis, get them off of a lot of the prescriptions that they ends up sometimes making them worse. And so I just really, I feel like this is a very needed documentary. I would love if you're ever in Michigan. I would love to have you in person here. I think you have so much to offer. And I think given that you're a physician, first and foremost, makes a big difference about the message in this movie.
It does. Everybody hears that healthcare is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Every day we now see it everywhere in the news, on TV, in radio, in paper, on the internet. Every day we come up with a new drug, a new diagnostic machine, a new treatment plan, but we're not any healthier. No one can deny that Western medicine is a marvel of human ingenuity. But there's something wrong here. Why do we get sick? How, after all this, we fly people to the moon. We're in the orbit now 24/7. Science has advanced so much, but we still don't know how, why is it that we still get sick? So the question is, how can we achieve a disease-free life? Do we really have a clear understanding of the concepts of health and disease? And here's the thing, ma'am. We can't find a cure because we still don't know what causes disease. If you go to the emergency room for something, if it's urgent, if it's something emergency, our doctors and nurses can fix you up in no time and put you back together and bring you back to life, no problem. But when it comes to chronic disease, it's like we are completely clueless. And why is that? And I think the problem is when it comes to chronic disease, we look at a human being as if it is a physical machine. That's the problem. We look at the physical body, we evaluate the physical body, the physical symptoms, and naturally want to treat the physical body. But human beings, as you know, are much more than just the physical body. As a matter of fact, this physical body is just a small dimension of the whole human being. And in the recent decade, a lot more people have come to that conclusion, but no one knows, what is a whole human being really. I mean, the extent of it has gone to maybe meditating or something like that.
Correct.
But
It's more still on the surface, kind of.
Yes, most people don't understand it, and I think this movie is the beginning of a new beginning. It'll give you
the beginning.
This is just about to explode a new era in health and healing.
Well,
and as you know, because especially, the stuff you were talking about, people need to know. You and I and the rest of the experts have a moral obligation to share what we know, to share, to give, to love and serve others. And we're going to do it, starting with this movie, and there's much, much more to come. It's like we're going to crack the seed and just wait to see what's going to sprout from that shell.
I am, every time I talk to you, even when I was in California, I'm so... Your energy, your positive energy, and your wisdom is so contagious, and I am so incredibly proud to be part of this documentary. And I love your humanitarian aspect in this, because you're a practicing physician in Beverly Hills, right?
Yes.
Okay,
and Los Angeles area.
And look at the root of what you're saying. So it's not, people can be anywhere. This is your background and where you're at and what you've seen. I think you're a great person. You're the perfect person to be giving this kind of message, because it comes from the heart, and you're looking at it not as an instrument of income, but as an instrument of humanitarian work. And every time we talked, the words that always came out from you is, this is going to change people's lives. That's all I kept. And every time you said it with such passion and such truth. So the fact that this is the inner purpose, I do believe, because of that purpose, because of that intent, that yes, it is gonna go in that direction. And I wish it the best of luck. And I can't wait for the viewers to watch the whole thing. But meanwhile, do go on the website to learn more. Do visit the Staff of Mercury Facebook page, because there's a lot of information that are regularly uploaded to that. So I thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. I know you're a very busy man doing really, really great things in this world. Aside from this film, you're always doing great work. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on this show.
It was an honor. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.